Right, episode 10. It's going to be a longer format today. We've got a bit of time and a lot of stories to go through. Now, if we look at the topics, we'll start with that first and then we can have a discussion on them. If we start with the first one, several large mortgage lenders hiking up interest rate ahead of the new year. Gas boilers to be banned from new builds by 2027 under proposed legislation. How does the digital currency change landscape when it comes to property? Now, that's a topic that you wanted to discuss in as detail about. And then we'll be going into the question from Musa Ahmed about the market crash that you predicted in episode 3. So there's a few to get through today. If we start with the several large mortgage lenders hiking up interest rate ahead of the new year. Had a bit of a research into it. Now, from what I can see, they're not taking down they're not putting up anyone on a tracker or variable. It's mainly for the mortgages that are coming to an end. Does that come to you? Do you think that will make any changes with, when it comes to people looking for a new mortgage at the moment?
Yeah, basically, how it works is mortgage interest rates, the lending side of the mortgages, the lending side of rates, what is due to the rising cost of funding as a result of the heightened inflation expectations after the Labour budget and Trump win. Now, basically, how it works is they look and think, okay, inflation is going to creep in within the next few years. So they adjust their lending rate according to that. Remember, the market always works in advance. Not what's happening today, but what is going to happen in the next year or 2 or 3 years' time. So the expectation is that within the next, I would say, not necessarily a year or two, but certainly in 3 or 4 years' time from now, they expect inflation to be higher than what it is right now. And for that reason, they would want to they will put the rate up in order to battle inflation. So what they do now, they say, okay, fine, interest rate is going to go up in 4 years' time, in 3 years' time. So we will put the lending rate up now in order to combat it. So that's how it kind of works. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So last time we spoke, we said that they put up mortgage rates anyway towards the end of the year. Has that got any? Obviously, we're looking at the budget, and the news came out after obviously the autumn budget. The market's reacting badly to it, obviously, as you can see, and then the Trump win, inflation, everything else. Where they're saying it's going up, there's been a lot of advice to say, okay, tie in if your mortgage is coming to an end, tie in now, and then you can do a swap if the rates do come down before the mortgage actually comes to an end.
Correct, you can do that, yeah.
Okay, so is that a good idea? Would you think, obviously, in your opinion, is that a good idea to be doing that, or is it better to just wait it out?
Look, here is what I think. For the next 2 years, interest rates will be around this or slightly lower. For the next 2 years. So if you can fix your mortgage for the next 2 years. Although, by the way, let me just say, I'm not an advisor. I'm not a financial advisor. This is purely my opinion and nothing else. So do not take this as an advice. It's just an opinion of mine. If one can fix the mortgage for the next 2 years, and then in 2 years' time, fix it for 5 years, then you will escape that hike in interest rate in the next 3 or 4 years that comes in, because you've got 2 years and 5 years, 7 years. You'll come out of it the other end. But if you fix it right now for 5 years, your mortgage will finish right in the midst of an increase in rates. And all of a sudden, you may find yourself, when your interest rate comes to an end in 5 years' time, all of a sudden the interest rate is a lot higher than what it is today. And then you've got kind of problems then. So that's what I would say. Yeah.
Kian?
No, pretty much just reiterating what you just said. Obviously, when you come to the end of the year, you see sales activity decrease, but obviously when the new year comes, you have a bit of a boom. Obviously across Rightmove, all the portals, estate agencies, Do you think that we will see one perhaps to the scale of last year or years prior, or will it be quite a quiet new year?
Oh, you mean house sales and all that?
House sales.
I expect it to be really booming. There is an artificial or a temporary boom that is coming, and later on in this program we'll talk about why do I think there's going to be a temporary boom coming up. But yes, I reckon 2025 we'll see a huge surge in houses being sold because of several items that's across the pond is put in place, which we'll talk about. So yeah, for sure, it's coming. Yes, yeah, there's a surge coming.
Okay, so this news is quite a big news or a big statement they're making, hiking up the interest rate on the lending power on the mortgage market. So you're saying that it'll still be good to buy a house. Everything will still be booming next year. It won't.
I didn't say that it would be good to buy a house. What I'm saying is that there will be a boom coming. Now, remember, everything works in cycles, which we'll talk about shortly, but nothing goes up forever and nothing goes down forever. So there will come a time. Everything's been going up steadily for the past 14, 15 years. And it will carry on, but then it'll get to a point which we'll talk about later as to why I think there'll be a reversal of this trend, and it'll be a lot harsher than what people think for certain reasons. And then of course when it gets to a certain point, then it will start an uptick again. But I'm not saying that don't buy anything, and I'm not saying buy everything. All I'm saying is that there is for people that buy and sell properties, sure, there's a boom coming. For people that buy and live in it, well, what difference does it make whether the house is worth £1 or £1 million? It's their home. Makes no difference whatsoever. It's for people that think, okay, fine, I'll buy and I'll hold it for 5 or 6 years or 7 years, then I'll sell. They're the ones that I would say, well, hold on, there is better times coming in order to buy. Yes.
Okay. Excellent. Let's transition to the next topic. The gas boilers to be banned from new builds by 2027 under proposed legislation. Under the Future Homes and Building Standards, originally drafted by Conservatives in 2023, which is now being continued by Labour. So the legislation that this consultation proposes aims to reduce carbon emissions across new homes by to 80%. Obviously, this is going to be new builds from 2027. Will this transition to the private sector?
Yes, of course it would. That's what they're aiming to cut emission. Now, they tried it, if you remember, a few years ago. They said by 2030, all cars that are going to be manufactured are going to be electric. Well, they've kicked the can down the road. It's now 2050. So, whether they will stick to that for 2027 when it gets closer, it remains to be seen. But obviously, everyone is trying to cut emission. But the biggest polluters are not homes. The biggest polluters are cars, as we all know. Now, cars are the main polluters that they've got to take off and make electric. But we don't have the infrastructure. So that's why they've kicked the can down the road. But for boilers, yes, I think if it comes in across the board for private sector as well. And will it make much difference? Everything makes difference. Everything does make it difference. So yes, anything towards an emission-free society, carbon emission-free society is great.
Yeah, we welcome it. It's good.
Yeah.
It'll be a change because a lot of people still, if they're renting a home, always ask about gas boiler. So it'll be a huge change. Now, is there enough manpower to get it done?
Oh, that's the thing. You have different developments going on. Obviously, Labour have pledged to build 1.5 million homes within 5 years.
Oh, by the way, this morning, sorry, Kian, this morning, I read in the news that they're not going to meet their target. They've already said that it's going to be across 2 terms, not 1 term now. So maybe they just making everyone aware that, hold on, we need to be in government for 2 terms for this to work.
They're already putting it out there.
That's it, yeah.
But yeah, again, planning to build so many homes and install all these renewable energy, so heat pumps, solar panels, for example, traditional gas boilers. You always have electricians that fit those, and the engineers.
Yeah.
Looking at a study done by the Heat Pump Association, they claim that only 18% of current engineers know how to maintain and upkeep these heat pumps. So the question then becomes, can we actually afford to upkeep and install this larger quantity of heat pumps?
I guess they'll kick it down the roads, just like they did with the vehicles, for another few more years down the road, until everyone is up to date with all the engineers and all that that need to be up to date with it and qualified to do so. Yeah.
I've got a question. Have you seen the heat pumps?
Yes, I have. Yeah.
I'm trying to work this out. So they've got to redo all the pipe work.
Yeah.
Do they have to redo the rads as well, or do the rads stay the same?
I believe they stay. I don't know. I think they stay the same, but I think they stay the same. I think it's just the boiler and the pipe work will have to change.
Yeah.
Yes.
There's a lot of pipes involved, and then it heats up the water. So you have a big water tank, like it used to be.
Yeah. That's it. Yeah.
It gets heated and then puts it out. But I didn't know whether, because everyone has different rads in the house, whether they would work under one specific radiator or you have to change. Yeah. So I wasn't too sure.
I think from what I understand, it would work. It's just the pipe work and the way it heats up that water in the radiators that will be slightly.
And then the costing as well, because they were saying it's going to be cheaper to run, but that all depends on the house. I'm sure the larger the house,
of course, yes,
the more expensive.
Yeah, of course it would be. Yes, yeah.
Okay,
it's
interesting.
It's the jury's still out of whether. I mean, yes, but it's not cheap to install. That's the whole point.
No,
it's just like the solar panels that people. It's a very good idea to have solar panels on your roof, but the cost is so expensive that not everyone can do it, and not everyone did it. And we're still looking at every house that you drive by, 1 in 100's got solar panels. 99 don't, because they can't afford it. So when this becomes law, can people afford it? Yes, you may be able to get grant from the government, but hold on, you've got to, like anything else,
upkeep
engineers,
and
upkeep and everything else. So it is not cut and dry as they make us believe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you have anything to add on top of that?
No, it was pretty much just the same thing. Another thing was obviously costing, how much it costs in comparison to gas and some more orthodox methods. But obviously, in the years to come, we'll see.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's going to be interesting to see if they do just start kicking that can down the road or start implementing it. Okay, excellent. Now, the digital currency. That's your forte.
Yeah.
I've got a question for you, but the first part will be, how does the digital currency change the landscape when it comes to property?
Okay, it's a very broad question. It's a good question, but a broad question. It will make a huge difference to property investment. Now, within the next, from now till the next 4 or 5 years, we will see a boom in RWA tokens, which is real world assets tokens. Basically, what it means is that right now, if you want to buy a house and it's £300,000, have you got £300,000? You may say, well, no, I don't. So I can't afford to buy that house. But what RWA tokens are doing, and they are out there at the moment, is that you may say, I've only got £1,000. So you invest in a certain property, Of course, there are companies out there that will, invest in Marbella, and some in London, some in New York, and around the world, that you can buy a part of that property. Now, not just property, but asset in general, paintings, cars, as in classic cars, anything that is an asset, you can buy that part of it. And as it goes up in value, so does your token. So that is the next, I believe that's the next boom that will change the property investment market. So you no longer have to go and buy a whole flat, a whole house, whatever you may want to, and you think, I haven't got 25% to put down. I've only got X amount. You can buy.
So it's like buying shares.
It is.
Yeah.
It totally is like buying shares. But you right now, as we speak, today is the 14th of November 2024. If you wanted to go and buy a small share in a property in London, can you do it?
No.
No, you can't do it. But through RWA tokens, real world asset tokens, you can. Can you buy a painting worth 2 million? No. You can't buy a share. You can buy the whole thing, but you can't buy.
Yeah.
But through this, you can. So this is where the digital currency, we call it digital currency, it's actually, tokens, which is it's a digital shares. And with that, through blockchain, whenever you buy, a part of an asset, it's registered to you, your details. Nobody can change that. Nobody through blockchain. Nobody can change that. Nobody can alter it, and it's yours forever until you sell it on. So on that basis, I think it's a fantastic way of getting people involved in investing, whatever they may have. Right now, you may have, somebody may have 500 quid, 500 pounds, and they want to go and invest it somewhere, but they can't. They don't know how. But hold on, they go and buy clothes with it, or they'll go and spend it. They don't keep it. They don't put it in the bank. But with this, once they buy the token and they've got an asset, they don't tend to go and spend it because it's sitting there, and all of a sudden it goes up in value, which it does do. Like anything else, assets go up in value. It may fluctuate, but it does go up in value. Now they've got a investor's mindset, and it's very good for society.
Okay, so tokens are different to, let's say, Bitcoin. Because Bitcoin's a currency, whereas tokens are kind of shares, investment.
It is a currency, but what can you do with it? What can you do with Bitcoin as a currency? You can't. It's an investment. It's they call it currency.
Yeah.
But can you take your Bitcoin down the road and buy a pint of milk with it? No, you can't. No. So it really isn't a currency. It's an investment token. Now, So
it is the same.
It's the same. It's
Okay.
the same. Yes.
Can anyone create a new token, or does it have to come from somewhere?
Look, we have legislations, which basically, right now, as I'm talking to you, it's very difficult to set up in this country, in England, to set up a tokenized asset and then sell it because of the rules and regulations. However, I only read yesterday that Bank of England is looking to digitalize gilts, which is government bond, and sell it within the next 2 years. Now, which means once they do that, they are on the way of digitalizing assets. Now, obviously, gilts is an asset as well. Obviously, it goes up. It's a bond and so forth. So, on that basis, we are going that way, and the regulation and everything else will come in line that you can. But right now, you can buy through, as we say, RWA tokens, but they are set up elsewhere, which are not heavily regulated like we are in this country, and go from there. But yes, eventually we will be able to do that here.
Yeah.
Yes.
Do you think it will be big?
Oh, I think it's huge. I think it's going to be huge, bigger than anything you've ever seen.
Yeah.
Because everybody, and I mean everybody, can have a piece of this. So all of a sudden, see like your mobile phones. All of a sudden, everyone, I mean, from a very young age, has a mobile phone now.
Yeah.
And back in 25 years ago, when I had a mobile phone, only people that were in business had phones.
Yeah.
And eventually, it kind of got more popular. And this is something exactly like
It's
that.
funny you say that. I was talking to, I texted my daughter yesterday, and I said, look, we're talking about, we're going to be talking about digital currency and blockchain tomorrow. And she said, I hate to break it to you, but people, my age, they don't care about digital currency and watching on YouTube about this kind of stuff. And I was like, oh, okay, all right, fair enough. But it made me, have a think and go, what age is it that you would want them to learn about this kind of stuff? Is it good to teach people young about this new age of currency and everything else, or is it something that you kind of just pick up as you go?
No, look, eventually, cash as we know it, the paper cash that as we know it, it will be replaced by digital currency.
Right? Yeah, absolutely.
So by the time the next generation are in, if they're 7, 8, 9, 10 years old now, by the time they get to 20, 21, 22, which is the next generation basically, digital currency will be in force as we know it, right? There are already, if you go to the hotels in this country, they don't take cash. You go to certain restaurants, they tell you they don't take any cash. It has to be now digital currency. The card that you pay, that's digital. That's not cash, that's digital currency. So that's what I'm talking. Digital currency doesn't have to be, they call it digital currency, but when you pay by card, your debit card, that's digital. That's a digital currency. That's what it means. What your daughter doesn't quite kind of grasp yet is that we are in a digital currency. Everything is done on card these days, and transfer of money and who carries cash with them these days? I can't remember the last time I carried cash. Probably 2 years ago. Everything is digital right now, and by the time she's 20, 21, 22, she would not know what cash is. It's all digital.
Yeah. Yes. Ken, do you know much about crypto and digital currency?
Not a ton in terms of how it is appreciated, how it relates to different things, how it goes up in value, how it decreases in value, things like that. Yeah,
I'm the same. So it's where would you get your information from?
Information are everywhere. They're on on the internet. But if you have there's two way of getting information. One, that you are passionate about it, and you as a business person, you will see things ahead, where we're going, where we're heading. So you take a huge interest in order to learn, knowing where we're going. And there is the second type of people whereby it's put upon them that they go, right, from now on, this is the way we're going to do it. Yeah. And you have no choice but to learn. So, you either learn through passion and going, which direction are we going? And I want to be at the front of the curve, or you will learn at the back of the curve. But either way, you will learn, and they will make you learn it. Because, for instance, my mother, 10 years ago, she wouldn't know how to use WhatsApp and Instagram and anything else. She used to pick up the phone and just speak. Now, nearly in her 80s, she knows how to post and how to how to chat on Instagram, Facebook, and everything else. Now, she didn't learn 10, 15 years ago because she had no interest. But right now, the only way to communicate with the outside world is through that. So you learn it no matter what.
Yeah.
So likewise, these RWAs and these tokens will help demystify cryptocurrency and make it more accessible to the common man.
Yes, it would do. Yes.
And the next generation, as you say, will grow up with that. It will become the new norm.
Exactly. It will become norm. Yeah. Yes. Yes. Yeah.
Okay. Right now, let's go into the question from Musa Ahmed.
Yes.
you mentioned, what episode was it, Keith?
Three.
Episode 3. You mentioned in episode 3 about a crash, and we had a question. I won't read all of it, but you've got the idea. So just ask you, as an economist, what factors are there that will, bring a crash in the coming years that you predict? Now, once again, obviously, this is your opinion.
Yes, absolutely. Yes.
So we've got to, and the audience got to take what you say with a pinch of knowingness and an opinion.
Yes.
What would your answer be to Musa?
Okay. First and foremost, let me just say that I called the last 2 boom and bust to the month, which goes back to the last 20 odd years.
Yeah.
The last bust that we had, the real bust that we had, was in 2007/2008, and I predicted it to be around July 2007, the height of the market. It happened to be August 2007, and then after that, everything started going south. And I predicted that around 2009/10, around 2010, we're going to come out of, and we're going to have another boom. It was 2010/11. So almost, by a few months, I called it. And I also believe that there is a mini boom coming, which is temporary boom coming, but it will last for the next 2 or 3 years. And after that, we will have a plateau at the top and a downturn. Reasons. He wanted to know the reasons. Mm-hmm. Okay, fine. There are about 3 or 4 reasons as to why I believe that. Number one is the borrowing. Now we've been borrowing, and with the new Labour that came in, all of a sudden they're going to borrow even more. Borrowing causes inflation across the pond. Also, with the new Trump administration coming in, they're going to be borrowing. So inflation is one of the key factors. All right, but not the only factor, but one of the key factors. Secondly, deregulation causes a temporary boom, but at the same time, after the boom becomes the bust. Now, there is a deregulation in the financial system that is coming, and when it happens across the pond, it happens here, it happens across the world, and I will come back to that as well. And the third, which is very close to my heart, is cycles. Now, a lot of people go, well, hold on, cycles doesn't always work. I can tell you, cycles always work. I am heavily involved in stock market. I'm heavily involved in property trading. And I can tell you that nothing goes up forever and nothing goes down forever, as I mentioned earlier on. So when it comes to stocks, it will go up, the trend goes up, and then it will come back down slightly, and it will go up until it gets to a point that it cannot go any higher, because supply and demand. And when it goes to a certain point that there is no more demand for it and there's a lot of supply, it will come back down. So put them 3 together, couple all them 3 together, you've got high inflation and remember earlier on we spoke about the banks are putting their rates up because they are anticipating inflation to creep in a few years' time. Secondly, deregulation as well causes the biggest borrowing and lending. So if there is no regulation in place like they have done so far, it's easier to borrow money. When you borrow money, you as a general public starts borrowing money for whatever reason, it gets to a point that they can't pay back. The moment interest rate goes higher, 1 or 2% higher than what it is, they'll be stuck. So what happens then? Of course, supply and demand again. They can't service their debt. And of course, then the cycle kicks in as well. Put them all together, we've got a recipe for a downturn. Downturn does not last as long as the upturn. The upturn will go a lot longer than a downturn, but downturns are sharper. Where, for instance, if an upturn is, let's talk about property market. If the upturn is, on average, 5% increase in property prices, and sometimes it's 7 or 8%, 10%, and then other times 2 or 3%. On average, is 5% over, say, 18-year period or 20-year period. When the downturn comes over a 3-year period, all of a sudden you will see 25, 30, 35, 40% downturn, and then it picks up. Now, what happens is because for the last 18 years, instead of being 5% or 6%, if you look at it, all of a sudden we've had past 3 or 4 or 5 years, instead of being 4 lots of 5%, we've had 4 lots of 10% or 5% and a 15%. It's out of kilt. It has to come back down for that mean average of 5%. And that's what we have the downturn. Whether it's a stock market, whether it's a property market, whatever it may be, that's what happens. It will come back to have to meet its mean average, which is 5% across for a long, long period. Now, the world is connected in every way. I know across the pond, I know they're going, oh, we don't want to have anything to do with the outside world. We it's USA first or UK first, and but it doesn't work that way. No man is an island, no country is an island by itself. They have to interact. So whatever happens, and this is something that general public must realize, that when we go into a recession or a downturn, the world goes into a recession, downturn. It's not that one country goes down, another country is booming. It doesn't work that way. We are so connected. We're like dominoes. When one falls, all fall. When one picks up, all picks up. So that's how it works. Apart from that, I can see, if you asked me what would cause the inflation, what would cause back in 2007, it was the banking system whereby they lend out money for properties and everything else without any checks or anything else, and that's what caused the recession. Then I can see deregulation is the next cause of the downturn, because of the amount of money the government will be borrowing and lending out. That will take inflation up. They have to put interest rates up to fight the inflation. People have borrowed. They have no choice. All of a sudden, they throw the keys in and so forth. Yes.
Okay. So yeah, at that time, inflation spikes, like you said. They have to hike up the interest rates to tackle the inflation. By that period, how long do you think? 2, 3, 4 years?
4 years. 3-4 years time.
By 3-4 years time, when everything comes up for renewal, and the interest rate where they did get it for, say, 4%, is now up to, let's say, 10, let's say 11, let's say 12. They can no longer pay that.
Service their loans. Yes.
Okay, so then that's the point. Just throw the keys in.
Yeah.
And walk away. Then obviously that creates a mass debt, mass no paybacks to the bank.
Of course.
Okay.
Of course. So if I had to put my neck on the chopping board and say, okay, what one factor will cause it? I will say deregulation, which is good in certain areas, but when it comes to the banking system, deregulation is a bad thing, because that's what creates boom and bust. And boom and bust, majority of the time, starts with the banking system, and deregulation in the banking system is the next thing.
I've got 2 questions. One, is a recession needed?
It always is needed, of course.
Okay.
It's always needed. Why? In order to balance the equilibrium. It must be there, because things, nothing always goes in a happy medium. It either shoots to the upside or it will shoot to the downside. So when we have recession, it shoots to the downside and it has to come back up again and go to. So it's always, it has to find its medium, its average medium. And for that reason, it's supply and demand. Either it's too much supply or too much demand, and that creates the bust and boom.
Yeah, the second question was, is there a way to prevent it? But you just answered that there. I mean, at the moment, everything, they can keep kicking the can down the road.
Yes.
but ultimately it will.
There comes a
fall.
time the government says, you know what, we can't kick it down. Let's just kind of like they've done in the past for the last 300 years. Let's just turn the clocks back to zero again, and we start again. It's going to be a pain for the next 3 or 4 years, 3 years, 2 years, 3 years. Let's take the pain and then we start again. So my opinion is that if you know how the market works, if you know the timing, and if you are keeping a very close eye on everything that is going around within the system, you know when to be in cash and you know when to be in asset. Right now, it's okay to be in asset because the time is not there yet to be in cash. But there will come a time, which I will tell our viewers of my opinion as to when that will be. And it's good to be in cash and wait before we get into assets again. It's very important that to be in cash or assets. But either way, that way, I've avoided personally, I've avoided the recession, twice now because of the timing, and I know the timing that is coming as well, but it's not yet. Therefore, I'm still in asset. Yeah.
Okay, and that's all in your book, isn't it? So,
yeah. I mean, the book itself is very much it's a personal journey. So it's part memoir and motivational. It doesn't tell you the timing. It doesn't tell you when the bust and boom's coming, but it's more motivational. And obviously it's more about mindset.
Okay.
If you've got the right mindset, then everything is possible.
Excellent. So we'll show this to the viewers. Zad's book is Boost Your Financial Wealth in Secret. It's now out to buy on Amazon. Is that correct?
It is, yes. Yeah.
Yeah. What we're going to do here, if we can do that here, Kian.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is the first 5 comments in the comment section will receive a free book. It will come your way. So if the first 5 people that write a comment will receive the book. Anything to add on the book?
No, it's really. I mean, everything. Everything is a mindset. If you've got a positive mindset, and positive expectations, you know exactly how everything works. And you can avoid the pitfalls. And it is in the book how to increase your financial wealth in secret. What it means when it says in secret, it means not that nobody knows. What it means is that it's in the mind. That's where your secret is. It's in there. Nobody knows what goes on in your mind but you. So that's where you boost your financial wealth in secret in there, and then that gets projected out to the external world, and that's where financially you become secure.
One of the guys bought it, and they've been crying over the book.
Really?
Yeah. Apparently, it's very emotional, and a really good read. Okay, excellent. Right, we'll put that in the description as well. We'll put the link in there so you can go straight and order it. But like I said, the first 5 comments will receive a free copy. Okay, so that's a wrap for today's episode. Anything to add?
No, just keep watching our episodes, because we have plenty more to speak about with the currencies coming up. Obviously, there'll be sections about the shares and stock markets. We would like to obviously I'm heavily involved in that, and I would like to give you my opinions on how to get involved in that in the future.
Excellent. All right, well, we hope you enjoyed it. Once again, please like and subscribe, show your support for the channel, and we'll see you on the next one.